Hey everyone, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. This show is about helping you grow as a coach by standing on the shoulders of giants. Each show, you get a different mentor in your ear. The early motivations, the successes, the failures, the tools, the tricks, and the insight into where the industry is going. All of it so you can make your own dent in the world. Remember, success leaves clues. Now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Coach Catalyst podcast. We are in season 3, and on today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Jason Durr, the founder of Ultra Human. Now, in season 3, I don't like to pick favorites, but this was one of the top episodes for me in season 3, as Jason has a crazy story, and he has tons of stories in this episode. And if you're thinking about building a business, whether it's in the supplement world or really any business in general, this is going to be a great episode for you. We dig into Ultra Human, which is a supplement company, and I would say a very specialized supplement company. They only have 3 or 4 products, but their products are incredible. And we talk all about that, what it takes to build supplements, and how he's built this incredible company. So if you're into building businesses, this is going to be your episode. Without further ado, let's check it out. Jason Durr with Ultra Human. Jason, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast.
How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Excited to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. And so I met you. It's probably like 3 or 4 years ago, in a mastermind, and which was the first time I got introduced to the products that you're creating, which are, we're gonna get into what those like products are because I think they're the best in the industry. But let's kind of start with the name Ultra Human. Where did that name come from? And was it like, was it like a spark and like, hey, that's it? Or was it like a long, painful process of coming to that?
No, it actually happened pretty fast. I think I was inspired by something called the Da Vinci Method, which is a book that was written, actually. And back long time ago in the philosophical days, people used to refer to extremely like well-rounded people as being Da Vinci's. So the original name of the nootropic was actually the Da Vinci. But people think of Da Vinci as an artist, right? But Da Vinci was very much about creating a total human, meaning somebody that is physically strong immunity, mental cognition, consciousness, all of these things, and creating this kind of whole total package. And so I was really trying to come up with a name of what is that thing? And that's how Ultra Human was born. Ultra Human isn't just like a fast performing athlete or a strong athlete. It's really like the whole picture. If you guys are old school and remember Jerry Maguire, I always say it's like the Quan, It's having a great life, great career, great family, and all of that stuff, as well as being in optimal physical health to conquer the world, right?
So, I mean, if you had to give someone the 2-minute kind of elevator pitch on what Ultra Human is and does, what would be your pitch?
So our products are strong enough for a professional athlete, safe enough for a 2-year-old. All of our products are designed to be the utmost effective, the utmost high quality, and the utmost user friendly. So these are really 3 aspects of it. I want people to trust that when they buy an Ultra Human product, they are buying something with a lot of integrity, and the product has been severely thought out as far as the formulation goes, and severely, I'll say a lot of output goes into sourcing all of the raw materials to make this product as well. And then as far as like user friendly and us, we're very like down to earth company. Obviously you can tell like I respond to a lot of the emails myself, and we can communicate with people and actually share and educate people on how to use the products and how to use them in their life. So we're health and wellness first and foremost. Secondary, I always say we're performance. Most people think we're the other way around. But I think if you're living a great life to 90, I think you've performed quite well. So,
and what was the first product that you guys came out with?
So I was big into nootropics. I didn't think that anyone made a good nootropic. So nootropics are typically drugs. People are crushing Adderalls, Vyvanse, modafinils, adrafinil, racetams, all this. And these are straight drugs. And then you've got over here, but they work. People feel the effect. Then you've got over here, you've got nootropics and cognitive enhancement. I won't mention any brands, but they just don't really work that well. Like people take them, okay, well, they're healthy and they're safe and I could buy them at CVS or Walmart, but they don't really have any you don't feel anything. So my first product was called the Da Vinci, which later actually became Tau, which looks like this. Mm-hmm. And this was a nootropic, and it was a time-release nootropic. So you take 1 tablet to 2 tablets, and it lasts about 8 hours nice and steady and helps keep you in an alpha wave stimulated zone. So that was our first ever product. And then we started expanding into amino acids and detoxification.
And I mean, we'll talk about those a little bit, but like your background isn't in necessarily like biochemistry or even really like health and fitness, right? Your background before this was like, for lack of a better term, like you were in the party world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of weird how things come full circle. I actually started out in supplements. So I went to Ohio State. I was pre-med at Ohio State. And then I was in nutrition and dietetics. And I ran nutrition and dietetics for 2.5 years. And I decided all the stuff at the school was just a bunch of shit. And I got a fight with a professor over enzymes. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Fuck you. I'm just done. This is right. And at the same time I was at Ohio State, I opened a nutrition store when I was 19. So we were already selling supplements and doing all this type of thing. And so I got to, just because I was so fascinated by performance, got to work with some incredibly brilliant minds here in Ohio and then throughout the world. And it was just a very odd experience. I feel like a lot of very, very, I will say, high-level chemists, biochemists, physiologists, supplement designers, formulators, sort of took me into their wing and saw that I was hungry, like a sponge. I would go to trade shows and they would all welcome me in and just invite me to dinners and so forth. So the more I got to know them, the more I realized how wrong the education system is. It's a long time ago. But I realized at that point, I was gaining a wealth of knowledge of how to design products. So while I was kind of gaining some traction there, all of these companies that I had befriended, I started doing consulting work and eventually started throwing parties for them. And that completely shifted my whole life into becoming one of the world's best party throwers. So a lot of people do not know me from Ultra Human. They just know me from throwing all sorts of events here in Vegas and around the whole US. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people type stuff. And then, not to make a long story short, I threw parties for 15 years, really hardcore, like almost one a weekend. Big stuff, pyrotechnics, celebrity events. I worked with some pretty good A-listers. And then eventually I sort of went through this weird sabbatical. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm just done. I've done whatever I want to do in that world. I've ran the gambit really hard and I want to go back to supplements. And I want to build I see a need with people's health. I think people are unhealthier than ever. I don't think that people are actually healthier than ever. You see the heavy metals in people's blood now. It's crazy. You see the pollution. You see the lifestyle people have and addictions to social media, addictions to dopamine hits and everything else. And I think people are kind of fucked up. So I said, like, I don't want to contribute to that anymore. I've done enough parties. I said, let's go back to supplements and let's build a scalable business model, one where I can selfishly get married and have kids actually and not be traveling everywhere, and one that we can provide amazing products online and to consumers. So that's how we went full circle and left parties and eventually came back to Ultra Human.
So why start with a nootropic? Why not something else?
I just I had a lot of interest in it because I was a big nootropic junkie myself, and I just didn't see anything that was that good. So it really stemmed from a need in the marketplace. That's kind of where that came to. And then I went to the next need, which was amino acids, because amino acids, amino acids, no one really makes a good tasting, high grade sourced, exact ratio all natural amino. That's a lot to digest, just that. But I see flaws in every amino. So a lot of the products I make are because I can't find them. And I'm the buyer as well. So if I go on major websites and I'm sitting there looking, and it could even be on Amazon, it could be on Vitacost, it could be on the web, you're sitting there looking, plugging it in, you cannot find an all natural amino tastes good. And some of the ones I've had, they clump. You have to literally take a rock out, size of like a golf ball, and throw it in the trash because they just haven't done the homework to figure it out. So I'm all about making products that I feel like the market needs, that people are not going to get their money screwed over on money, and they can get like a really great quality product that effectively works. We ship to world champions now, that love the product and swear by it.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is room for opportunity.
It's badass. It's fucking awesome. Over-delivered. They talked about it, and they definitely did it.
Is amazing. It's just been invigorating.
Is exemplary. It's phenomenal and just a great time with great people. And you feel like in Ohana, you feel like a family.
It's unreal.
Is awesome. What will help separate the 1% from the 99% is a really well thought out event, well conceived, well planned, and well executed.
It's such an amazing event to be at in order to grow your business and network with other professionals.
It is top tier. It's one of the best I've been to in the business. It's been unbelievable, and I'm just excited to finish out the day here and keep making connections.
It's an event that you will be very happy that you have attended, because next year is going to be even better than this one.
It is freaking badass. If you're not here, you're missing out. See you next year.
Well, I mean, just in full transparency, we sell a ton of amino code. I love it. I think the taste is great. It mixes really well. And it's just like an all-out good product at a good price. It's not usually when we move into this all-natural world or into that, things just get inflated because it's natural, whatever. And now we can sell it at a high price point. But you've definitely chosen to put stuff on shelves that's very reasonable. Mm-hmm. We're not paying $80-$90 for a can, right? It's very reasonable.
No. And you shouldn't. That's the thing. So I say that, I hit a really low point in my life when I went in supplement industry. And I really owe my industry a lot for giving me more opportunities in my life and experiences that I've had. And I'm just indebted. And when you feel indebted to an industry, you just want to keep paying back and do something good. And I see all of this stuff. We color our stuff with, I'm not trying to get myopic, Trevor, but we color our stuff with beets versus using red 40 and all these red dyes. And I don't understand why they're using it. It is more expensive to do it. But it's more expensive by 5, 10, 15 cents a can. Pay the money, give people a great product. Or why do you want this artificial shit everywhere? Or we don't use any sucralose, aspartame, ACE K, nothing. You know what that requires? It requires you got to get a flavor specialist, and they got to sit there and do all the work, right? It's a lot of work to do it right. But how can anyone sit on your show or anybody else's show and talk about their product like they're the best thing, and they're not? I will sit head toe to toe with anybody and say, well, why are there artificial colors in it? Come on. You don't need it. The technology exists. People are just not using it. They're just not using it. We've got to get away from artificial stuff. We've got to get more back into the way nature intended. So this is a very important thing. And as regarding price, there's plenty of people have said to me, look, you are undercharging. You charge way more for your products. I don't care about that. I learned this from throwing parties. If you're really good at throwing parties, people will come. You don't even need social media. I didn't even use social media until my 11th or 12th year of throwing parties, the last couple of years. And even then, I sucked at it. I suck at it now. There's not even an ultra-human Instagram right now, right? But our products, we're scaling like this consistently because people become fans of ours and they share the word and tell other people. And that's how we build it. It's just doing the right thing, making accessible, easy to use product that differentiates and is not just a little bit better, but a lot better than what's on the market.
So, with that, this idea of let's call it scaling slowly, right? So one of the detriments of scaling slowly is you probably have to get to a critical mass of like, hey, I'm have enough buyers to be breaking even and being able to producing enough revenue. And so being able to push that off maybe to a little bit later date. I mean, going into this where you're like, hey, I'm going to fund this thing myself, or am I going to bring in other people? Because building something and testing something cannot be cheap. So let's go back to like the nootropic first product. Hey, I'm going to do this. Like, what does it look like even to just start with the research and development, let alone then now doing sourcing and then packaging and then now finding buyers?
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. Like I don't think like anybody realizes if you have not owned a business for 5 or 10 years, like don't even go there. Like I know you've been in the game for a while, man. Any business is really difficult. And as people blame COVID, I'm like, outside of COVID, it's really hard. It doesn't matter. Like in the 70s, 80s, 90s, now it's probably harder than ever. I was just on another show and with a friend of mine, he started a podcast, very successful business. And he says, he's like, I think it's about 5 times harder to start now than before. We think it's easier. This is what everybody tells you online. It's easy. But there's also so many people doing it. So to do it and to make it sustainable for 10 or 20 years and not just like a bump in the road, it's very difficult to do. So to answer your question, yeah, I think full transparency on the show. The R&D takes a while. It's a lot of mixing, getting raws, going back and forth. The packaging takes a long time. To build this original towel packaging, we had some top level designers, which were extremely expensive to do. If any of you are tuning in and you haven't seen the packaging, it's pretty amazing. So we actually won 2 national awards on this product. There you go. And you can see the tablets inside, and all of our products are hand signed. So we won some national awards on this. But it was a lot of money, to make something like this. 1,000 boxes is going to be really expensive. You really need to be making 3,000 to 5,000 boxes to break that printing point. Right. And to make a tablet, the actual tablets themselves, you really need to be doing north of 100,000 tablets. And then to do blister packs, you need to be doing north of, 5, 10, 20,000 blister packs. So you get to this place of like this, you start realizing very quickly this is very expensive and it's such a massive risk. Right. But if you really believe in it and you really, have your right head on, you can do really well with it. Concerning scaling though, that's been a difficult challenge. I'm very good at building products. I think the biggest hurdle I've had with this company has been scaling. I have trying to find the speed at which you scale is an art in itself. So, and I don't think anyone knows. I have friends that own one of the fastest growing protein bar companies anywhere in the world. I won't mention the name, but they are like this. And if you saw the purchase orders and money that's coming in and circulating through a company, it's crazy. And even they have scaling issues because if they went into a big chain like a Costco or a Kroger, they can't even fulfill that. So there's still a limitation to how fast you can exponentially grow, right? We've had problems where we've run out of product. I don't know how many times that's happened. And finally, I got to a place of saying, I'm done. I need to either slow down or I need to speed up the manufacturing. We ended up relocating everything to Florida and then building a double, triple, quadruple amount in some cases of product. Now we can scale a little bit faster, but I'm still staying methodical so we don't break anything. The worst thing that can happen is any of you guys out there that are in the product space, if you get somebody using a product, like we had this Detox 19, it's a heavy metal detox, and out of nowhere, the product started scaling so quickly that we didn't have enough product to last us until the second purchase order came through. By the time there was this gap of about 5 or 6 weeks without any product, by the time the second purchase order came through, it's almost like we kind of had to start halfway, maybe not quite the beginning, but like halfway. So it's thousands and thousands of dollars lost. If you work a regular job and you're not ready to like sever your balls over this, don't do it. If you are not ready to sacrifice your life, don't do it. If you're not ready to piss blood, don't do it. Just don't do it. You have a nice idea. It's fun. You have a family, go home, pet the dog, flick on the TV. Don't even exhaust your time. If you're really serious about it and you're willing to face fear and stomach cramps and nervousness and insomnia and all sorts of issues, then start business and do it the right way. I am the most entrepreneurial-minded person. I love business. I'm sorry, I'm super ranting on you right now, Trevor.
No, I love it. I love it.
Like, if you want to start a gym, personal training, products, courses, whatever, just get ready for the long road. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And there are no shortcuts. So I'm an advocate. I have a daughter now. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
My wife and I had a little baby, 9 months old. And we kind of half joke that she's going to have a lemonade stand when she's 4 or 5 years old. I'm going to get her right into entrepreneurship now so that she can burn the first 10 or 20 years of hell, and then she can actually enjoy her life. So
I love it. I mean, so going to that first product, did you have enough runway income from the previous venture to be like, hey, cool, I can self-fund this thing. I can still buy food and do all of that kind of stuff while I'm building this? Or did you have to kind of bring in outside money in order? Because it's like, you can't just like dabble at it a little bit. Like there's all of these pieces that you have to put together. So how did that work from like a funding standpoint?
I had enough to get the first product done. It was a lot of favors. I had a lot of friends in my industry. So it was kind of saying, hey, I can't make 3,000 units. Can you make me 1,000? Can you make me 500? And they're like, well, we'll squeeze you in, Jason, but don't do this again. And it was self-funded, but it was also a lot of favors being called. I owe a lot of people thank yous for helping me get started, to be frank. With that said, though, you get pushed to the back of the line a lot because you're asking for a favor too.
Right.
So once I got the first product done, and then after that, it was a little bit easier because then you have some cash flow coming in. I think once I got the first product done, figuring out the marketplace for it was the hardest part.
Right, because you weren't coming into this with this big brand, right? And then, hey, you're just going to introduce this product to this huge audience that you had, right? You probably had people that you knew, but it wasn't like that. So, do you remember the first person that bought the first package of Tao or Da Vinci at the time?
I don't know who bought the first box of Tao ever. I don't actually know. No, we did a big launch at a local store and started selling that.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was the go-to-market strategy? What was the launch strategy? Hey, we've built this thing. It works. I like it. The formulations are on point. What was the go-to-market strategy?
I had this idea that I would sort of take a multi-pronged approach. Okay, so I have to explain to you with what my intention was versus what happens. Okay, my intention is, all right, I got some store accounts I'm tight with. I know some gyms I'm tight with. I know some friends I'm tight with at people that I can get to, and we can set up a website. Or we could just start posting. So I'll get it on Amazon. There's one channel. I'll get direct to consumer on the oldtreatment.net. Then stores and gyms. It's kind of like almost like 4 channels, right? And then I know some very prominent doctors that might refer me people. So it's kind of like, let's just kind of stick our 4 or 5 irons in the fire. So we did this. And at first I was pumped. Like 60 boxes going to this one account, 20 boxes, stuff like this. The problem is it's like this, highs and lows. I actually went 9 days with no sales at all, like zero, like no store sales, no online sales, nothing. We were still setting up on Amazon at the time. And I come from a world of crazy fast cash. Like parties are like next level cash if you're doing big parties, right? So I come from a world where January 1st, I say, hey guys, I'm throwing a big party February 1st. Everybody's like, oh, we're coming. Right. You want to sponsor the event? Give me $5,000. Give me $10,000. Give me $5,000. You're doing this. Energy drink sponsors, Grey Goose, Victoria's Secret, whoever it is, right? So you're just collecting, wire the money, and you can get that money. You can get that money before February 1st, because if you don't, then we're gonna take all your sponsorship shit off. Right? It's a very aggressive like this, right?
Right.
Then get your tickets now before they sold out. Get your tickets. You get all that. Then all these people lining up, and they just got cash like this, cash. So February 1st at 3:00 in the morning, I'm like Santa. I got a big bag, a trash bag, just filled with cash. Okay. That's where I come from.
Right.
And I just go like this, and we're just selling. Sale. One e-blast, boom. Tickets, pitches, right? I come into this world and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like that 60 units I sold, I sent him an invoice and it's like, $2,500. So I'm like, oh yeah, mate. Then I'm like, wait a second. Like, I used to get a sponsor give me 10 grand. And we got to sit here and like, somebody's got to fold the boxes and tie the little pack. Like this shit's a pain in the ass, right? And somebody's got to sign the thing. So it got to a point, you could even see how these are hand tied, like these little packets here, guys.
Right.
Somebody sat there and had to do that. And no, I don't own a sweatshop, in case you know. So basically, I actually started taking a different route because I didn't want to deal with this. So I started to go to like big channels. I was like, okay, I know a guy that can potentially take me into all the vitamin shops. And I've actually broken parts into vitamin shops before. Let me call him. I know a guy that's got a huge online presence. Let me call him. And this started kind of like, how do we go to these bigger juggernauts?
Yep.
Well, the end of the story is everything fell on its ass. That's just not how the world works. And even then, for some of the channels, we were back to the standpoint of not having enough inventory. So I caught myself in this place of this is too slow and this is almost too big, and they're just not interested. I couldn't really get much play here. And that kind of led me back to sitting down, shutting up, getting my infrastructure, and then scaling the right way.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that.
Is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
It's the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
So, I mean, like how long, I mean, what kind of time period are we talking about with all of that stuff going on was this 6 months? Was this a couple months? Was this a year?
I ran it for about 6 months before I started getting greedy and was like, I got to do this thing fast. Like this, I got to scale this thing fast. And I want a bigger piece of the pie now, right? So about 6 months. And then the exploration of some of these bigger channels, I probably wasted a good 6 to 8 months on it and got nowhere at all. Complete waste of time. It's just the nature of it. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And when I look back, I think it's very important for any listeners that are entrepreneurs to realize that it was the greatest thing that happened to my business. Both things. If I would have scaled so fast, I'll tell you guys a story. I actually had a deal on the table for the first order being 1,000 units of towel, and the second order scaling to 5,000. They actually wanted 5,000, but they just wanted to get 1,000 for the first distribution. 30-day terms on this thing, 60-day terms on the second batch. The deal was locked and loaded. I was set. I'm like back in the driver's seat. We're back like party money type stuff. And the deal just didn't happen. And that was the last of it. I was like, I'm done. I hate this. It sucks. Like, I don't know. I was making really good money before. Like, this is just a struggle.
Right.
And it was about a month and a half later, after that, 2 months out later, I was on the phone with somebody, and he was telling me how somebody did him dirty and he lost all of this money. And it was actually that company. They had filed bankruptcy and they didn't pay anyone. Big company. Big company. Didn't pay anyone. So that really changed my perspective. And I had to understand that this was part of my journey, and like God was kind of protecting me in some way or form. So sometimes, it's the greatest thing in life is getting what you ask for, and sometimes it's the worst, you know? And sometimes when you have like a channel like this, there's a lot of business philosophies will tell you, some people say it's 25% of all your money should not come from one place. It should be less than that. Some people think it's 60%. You should never have more than 60% of your revenue from one source, because if that source goes down, you're out of business. So I think that it was a smart move. And now we went back full circle to all of the channels. We've slowly built all of the channels. Our Amazon's gone up, our direct consumer, our store accounts have gone up, our gyms have gone up, our international business has gone up.
Was there ever a moment there where you're like, it's not worth it?
Yeah. I went, I went on this really weird sabbatical period, and I'm going to get kind of deep on you here, Trevor.
Hey, it's all good. So, I can go deep.
There were like two phases in business, but they were really kind of like personal as well. One was I went through this really weird sabbatical. I called my right-hand guy that I hired that works for me. He used to work at my events all the time, so I hired him for Ultraman. I remember getting a long discussion. He's like, man, you just sound really down. You're not like this. I said, I don't know what it is. Just everything's irritating me. I feel like I'm not in the right place. So I came up with this, what I call the no plan. And I just stopped. I just stopped everything. I didn't call any stores. I didn't call any accounts. I just took a few weeks, and I wanted to explore all of these other opportunities for other businesses. So I used to do some stand-up comedy. I actually was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should go back to do stand-up comedy. What if I did go back and throw parties? What if I just do one once every month, right? Well, I started to just open the wall for exploration. And at the end of that, I came to the conclusion that when I started looking at what other options were out there, I realized that I actually had a really good thing going, and that it just needed some tweaking. And I just needed to find my place in that. Ultra Human and myself were like here, but we had not really, I just hadn't really embraced this world. And, the business model has gone so much more online. So as the transition of commerce has moved online, I can't stand online. I like face to face. So maybe it was partly me not adapting and evolving with where the trends have gone, right? So stage one, sabbatical, 3-4 weeks, left everything, came full circle, said, you know what? I think I'm going to give this a shot. I need to come. I've taken a break. I'm good. Taking a shot. Went another year or so, maybe 2 years, scaled the thing. And then I went to a really dark place. Personally, just went through a dark place, questioning everything again, all over again. And that really told me that I had ran it really hard. I'm not really one to go see like counselors and therapists and stuff, but I used to keep saying, I'm like, something's off. I don't know. Like my business is good. I feel like it's scaling. Something's not right. Like I feel like a block, like there's something blocking me, right? So I started to work with counselors, therapists. I took more time off work, just completely stepped away from it. Started doing neurofeedback, started really doing massive monster hikes, like, 7, 8 hours a shot with like no food out in the middle of nowhere, deserts, woods, whatever. And during that period of time, Conscious One was actually born during that time, because this is actually what I was drinking. I was mixing this at home myself to drink it when I was going on long hikes. And I went through this period of kind of self-healing. I think entrepreneurs don't do enough of it. Personally, no one ever talked to me about it. Here I was, 19 years old. I went at crazy speed from 19, and now I'm at like 40, right? So I'm thinking I've gone so fast. The couple of the specialists I work with, like, dude, you haven't had time to process anything. Like, you've just gone like this. Slow down, just take a minute. So I spent, some time working on myself, healing myself. And that became a journey in itself. And then when I came back into the business, my business has never been better. I really saw crystal clear vision as the new version of myself to be able to take this business to the next level. And I never looked back. It was amazing when I came back from that sabbatical. It was the most amazing experience ever. I actually became Christian. I actually grew up Christian. And then I got baptized, went back to my faith. And then I also met my wife immediately. We got married, engaged, married, had a baby, scrapped all the previous products, launched all new stuff with Conscious One, Detox 19, rechanged the look of Amino Code, and just built kind of like a second life out of it. And it's been amazing ever since.
So I mean, when you stepped away, just thinking about this from like a logical standpoint, when you stepped away from the business, was there someone in the business? Was there like a right-hand person that can be like, okay, I can keep the ship at least afloat or moving in the right direction? Or were you okay with like, hey, I'm going to step away. If this thing goes backwards while I'm away, like I'm okay with that. And we'll kind of figure it out when we get back.
Yeah. I mean, if the CEO is really strong, like if you are really that person in that company, some people are like a real front man. And that's who I am. And when I step away, everybody steps away. It's weird. There wasn't really anybody to carry the company or lead because there's too many facets and aspects of it. I had a really great team of people. I felt though that we were just maintaining. Orders were getting packed, orders were getting shipped out, orders were getting fulfilled, but emails were getting responded to, invoices done. But you could tell that they're just during that period of time stepping away, the company didn't have the energy and drive. And, if I'm busy, just kind of on a sabbatical, even if I feel like the best business decision I could make is to go and hike, other people see that as, oh, he's just out having a good time. He's just out fucking, who knows what he's doing, right? But the reality of it is I just need a minute. So, if you're a visionary and you can, sometimes you need to really step back to be able to really see the whole picture. Otherwise you get too caught in the puzzle pieces, right? But my crew luckily was really great at supporting me during that time. And I would just say maintaining the business, but we really couldn't grow during that time.
Right. So, but one thing about that really struck me early on when I looked at your product was like the packaging. And so was this a conscious decision from early on, like, hey, we're going to spend exorbitantly on packaging because that's how we're going to stand out in the marketplace? Because it is like, I mean, it's beyond like you kind of take things to the highest level and then find a way to like go another level. Like, for example, like the hand tying of around the towel packets, right? Like, that cannot be like a scalable or like, but it's just like a special touch. So like, talk me through a little bit of the thought process around we're going to go above and beyond in this aspect of the product that we're creating.
I'll give you my Jason Durr reason why. And there's two reasons. So the first one's the most important. The second's kind of just a secondary thought. It's an afterthought. Number one, my products are exceptional, so they deserve it. They deserve it. I don't want to put amino code in just like a fucking bag. Okay, like I've heard this a million times, especially during COVID. We had supply chain issues. I was so close. I'm like, man, maybe I'll cave. I stick it in a bag. Who cares about the label? Get some shitty designer. The product's too good. So the products deserve it. Number two, I care about you and you deserve it. You deserve my attention and time. You deserve my company's attention and time. You deserve, if you're spending $69.95, we can tie some packs. We can fold some boxes. We can do follow-up calls. We can buy imported urine tissue from Thailand. The people that tell me that you're not going to be able to sign all these containers, you're not going to be able to do all this stuff, like it is very exhausting and very hard to scale. And since the inception, we have made things a lot more streamlined on how to go about doing this. So certain products like our detox, for example, we don't hand sign, but Conscious One we still do. But it's worth it to me. I want people to know that I care. Like people open up that box of Tao, and the second they see a hand tied pack, they said, you know what? Like these guys have put some work into this. Like they obviously give a shit. We're in a day and age where just everything's robots, man. Like it's all AI and how are you and lead generators. And I'm all about that scalability, and people are trying to duplicate themselves into cyborgs and all sorts of shit. But I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like there's something to be said about the lemonade stand. There's something to be said about, the person that gives you a free sample of chicken and says, hey, try this out, and your grandmother's recipe for baking cookies. And I don't know, like money isn't everything. Like if I had a choice of doing things the way I'm doing it now, and, we build this to, $20 million company, I would rather just look back and say, I'm really proud of what I've done for the community and for people. And I'm really proud of all my products. I've never lied or bullshitted anybody or given somebody some crappy stuff or never not attended something. And this other guy over here, he's got $40 million, and he's done a lot of shady shit, or he's just doesn't really care, and that's just not what we're about. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I sleep a lot better at night. So.
Look, I mean, it is something that is a differentiator, though, as well, because it's a premium product, but it isn't necessarily priced in that like high premium range. It's very much in a attainable range, right, for kind of the everyday person, for lack of a better term, right? But like what I remember distinctly is when I got the first amino code from you, because we had met at an event and then we wanted to try out the stuff, and it got sent to me and it was in the like velvet like bag, right? And like I instantly like took pictures on put it on social media and that kind of stuff because it was such a cool like experience, right? In getting something. And so have you seen that as like a side kind of benefit because there's so much time and effort put into this? Like people want to now share that experience with other people?
100%. I think, whatever I just covered a minute ago is really like just how I feel about connecting with people in business. But the secondary piece of this is that it's a very smart business move. Like I can't tell you how many people have posted this bag. Full transparency, the bags cost me maybe around $1.40 a piece total. Not bad. Maybe $1.20 plus shipping. And if I buy it in bulk, I can get them a little bit lower.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like people love it. And we don't have to do it for all the store accounts. We only just do it for the individual direct to consumer accounts. So, if a third of our business, back when we started doing these bags, a third of our business was gyms and training facilities, a third was stores, and a third was online direct to consumer. So when we pack the online direct to consumer, it's only 1/3 of our orders. They're all getting those sleeves. So the total aminos, it might be costing me about 35 cents total across the board, right? But the marketing that I get from that, people saying like, whoa, I've never seen something like this. it is a differentiator, what you call like a purple cow, right? Like it's just so different. Same thing with the packaging of towel. One of the biggest aspects from a purely monetary standpoint, talking straight like business and money and cost of goods and all this, is I know that people will gravitate towards it. And when they see premium packaging, they have like a connotation of like a premium product, which is true. Also, though, we can create a higher margin for a store account. So not only can we give people a better product, but a store account that's buying a crappy product, they might be buying a crappy nootropic for say $20 and selling it for like 30, right? And then making maybe $10 or $15 a piece. Now they could buy towel, the wholesale line was 40 and they could sell it for 70 and they can actually make a higher margin. So purely from an entrepreneurial standpoint, store accounts love the product because they can make consistent money on it. That's good without screwing the consumer. The consumer can get a great product and a great price as well. And that differentiator, it's massive. Like I can't tell you how much business I've gained off of signed products, packaging. I mean, the compliments and the people that will share it virally is really well said.
And does that come from like your throwing a party days, where it's like when you're throwing a party, like you're kind of going above and beyond and want to make this an experience? Or was this like, hey, I need to find someone that is really good at this so that they can build it?
Yeah, no, it comes definitely from parties. When I was throwing parties, what put me on the map was like the insane stuff. Like, I don't do wine and cheese affairs, basic cocktail hours, mixer out. I'm not into any of that. Like, we are full blown line rockets, pyrotechnics, flame pipes, 15-foot dragons walking around, 16-foot 2-story ice luges, A-list celebrities walking around. Like, it's so extra. Everything's so extra. Right. And that's how I was marketing and filling events, just based upon that. So, I became a brand in myself within events. People would trust, okay, if I go to a Jason Durr party, I'm going to see the most craziest stuff you can imagine. I already know. And that's how it would sell out. I never not had a sold out event. And I probably did about 300 nights in my life, and all of them were sold out. But a lot of it was because it was a differentiator. I think if you have a business and you're listening to this right now, really ask yourself, what is the differentiation? Every top executive in business and people that do acquisitions and all that, they will always tell you like what separates you from anyone else. In my situation, packaging, effectiveness, communication, like all of this. For other people, if you're just a Me Too party, you're just, we booked a DJ, like no one cares. We booked a band, no one cares. It needs to be wild. I mean, one of my last events, I built a 16-foot robot, and then I put it on what was about a 3-foot stage. So this thing was 19, 20 feet high with moving arms. And then the whole thing lit up. It was all LED wired. And then on top of that, and keep in mind, this is in a renovated church. So it's super crazy now looking, right? And then in the middle, there's a Tesla coil. You guys know what that is? If you don't, look it up at Tesla coil. And then that's shooting lightning out. And I have like a staff where the lightning is like connecting to the staff, right? And then we've got, while this is going on, there's 3 different groups of people that are doing aerial pyrotechnic fighting. Okay, with like dragon staffs and wheels on fire and shit. Okay, like, tell me you don't want to come to the next event. I don't need Facebook. I don't need anything. Like, we're sold out. I can sell the tickets now. You sold out for next year. I'd sell these tickets $25 in advance, $40 at the door. Done. We would pre-sell all the tickets. Don't even need to. Sponsor the event. Yeah. What do you have, an energy drink? Dude, let's drop it in the middle of the fucking show while the Tesla coil is going on. Like, people are never going to forget it. So that's how it works, I think, is like, what's differentiation? Grey Goose was like one of my main sponsors with Ketel One and Ciroc, some of those guys. But like, it was like getting money was like this. And every once in a while, any friends I had that would be doing events as well, like, hey man, can you call Grey Goose? Well, what are you doing? Oh, we're booking a band. They're like, no, not interested. There's a million focus products out there. No, who gives a shit? Like, they're all the same.
Right. Is this just how your brain works? Like, is that kind of like is that just how you're wired?
They're like, yeah, I think it's definitely how I'm wired, but I think it's organically how I am, but I also think it's a conscious decision to shut out whatever society's bullshit's filling in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Society's just conformity. Like, the people you want to be around are the nonconformists.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be in the same group. Like, it's the worst thing that can happen unless, if you want to be around a financially successful group, because that's what you want to attain to be, you'll become like that. Like they say, the sum of the five people, right? Everybody said that. But I think you constantly having to look like what's beyond and what's beyond. And I find that, I've done talks and seminars on creativity, creative thinking, thinking outside the box. What is that next level? Because it's a common thing, especially with packaging or product design, or even when I was doing parties, like at the tail end of parties, I was doing a lot of this stuff. How do you create this show? What is that? And a lot of it is most people just stop here, where they just need to keep going. And they need to give themselves the space, permission, and time. Space, permission, and time to go into your own creative zone. And when you think you can't do something, that's just your own inner chatter, And society stops you. I want to build a 2-story luge. So the world's largest ice luge ever built against book records, I believe, was 23 feet. I couldn't fit 23 feet in this church, but I was like, hey, let's go as high as we can. So we built a 16-foot luge. So I call the ice carvers. I'm like, guys, let's build this fucking luge. It's crazy. I'll put a goal up there to pour shots down. I'll get a sponsor to sponsor inside the luge. Like, it's all making sense. No. You can't build that. Why? That's just too crazy. Let's just stick with something basic. Now you're a bum. Like, let's do this. Like, otherwise, you know what? If we do it your way, then we're not going to have anyone come next year. So it has to be like that. Like, guys, full transparency, my wife is in the other room right here, right? I could probably bring in here right now, tell you about our wedding. Because our wedding comes around and everybody wants to do traditional wedding. And I'm like, let's go the extra. I got a lot of contacts from that space. Let's go the extra mile. Obviously, weddings were expensive, and you don't have like sponsors now and tickets. You don't have tickets being sold. You're actually paying for everybody. So there was a budget, but we were driving to go get a cake, wedding cake. And I don't know what happened. We were just busy. We had not really discussed what we wanted on this cake, but we found one cake we really like. She's like, I'm like, you know what? Let me ask you a question. Like, you're my one and only. We're getting married. We're going to die married together, right? She's like, yeah. Well, at least I feel that way. So I said, what's the most ridiculous cake you've ever seen? She said, I've seen a 4-tier cake. I think I've seen a 5, a third of a 5, but I've never seen anything past it. And my response was, we're building a 7-tier cake. Not a 5, not a 6, 7. It's got to be not a little bit better, like that much. It's not a competition. It's that you get one shot at life. And so you got to go all the way to 7. We walk into this fucking cake lady's place. And I'm like, yeah, we want a 7-tier cake. And she kind of looks like this. She's like, that's what you want. I'm like, yeah, you want a 7-tier cake? I'll send you a picture, Trevor, when you get off the phone. 7-tier cake. We looked at this like this. Like, how are we going to cut this top? We have to cut the bottom piece because the fucking thing was so big. Then I say, you know what? What if we get some fire spinners? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of quick. Fire spinners done. What if we custom make this ice cube with J and V for Victoria Jason on the ice cube? Put it in there. Can it be done? I don't know. Yep, there it is. I got pictures. You just go the distance. Everybody's so busy saying they can't do it, or it can't be done, or it can't be thought. It's barriers, success barriers. And the biggest barrier isn't success, it's life. People don't know how to live. You're alive, but you're not living. You're alive, but not living. So this is a whole probably separate podcast, shouldn't be here. I've cheated death too many times in my life, and it allows me to value every moment with my 9-month-old daughter and my wife and my parents. I call my mom almost every day. Value her, value my relationships. So
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love it. So you start with tau, you start with a nootropic, and then you move into the amino space. So that, I mean, I would probably call the amino space a bigger, and correct me if I'm wrong, a bigger market than nootropics. Yeah. Maybe it's not, but was that? Definitely. And you said you kind of saw a need. Missing piece, and was that just like kind of the all natural, like, because most aminos are just there's a bunch of junk that's in them, and the ratios are all goofy, and so was it like, hey, we need to fix this space?
Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, aminos are, just so you guys know, aminos are definitely my least profitable item. Like, we don't make a ton on them. By the time they're done, manufacturers tested, shipped, labeled, everything. We don't make a lot, but I think that they're a high volume item because so many people take aminos. And we're also going into a space where the amino market's pretty inexpensive. You know, you can buy aminos for $20, $25, $29. So we're kind of in that $39 range, a little bit more. But what's helping us win, to be blunt, in that market space right now against any competitors, no one has anything quite like what we have. So first off, you said it perfectly. The ratios are really balanced. Amino acid ratios are really, really key because if you just buy something and throw them together, which a lot of these companies use a proprietary blend, but it's not an exact ratio. So they fill it with more of the aminos that are cheaper. Some aminos like glycine, for example, could be $3 or $4 a kilo, $5 a kilo, $10 is so cheap. And then some of the other aminos could be a lot more expensive, like the branched chains, for example, right? So our ratio is dialed in. It is the same amino acid ratio that's biologically sound to human muscle tissue. So this way, it doesn't cause a disruption in your own biological system, but it also prevents things like insulin spikes, which can happen if you have the wrong ratio of BCAAs, right? It's number one. Number two, yeah, let's make something completely natural. My 9-month-old has actually drank our aminos, believe it or not. Like, we gave her a little spoon the other day, she drank it. So I put my money where my mouth is, where the product is really safe and clean with nothing negative, any side effects. The coloring is from beets, beta-carotene, blue spirulina. I think and then we use riboflavin, which could be vitamin, sometimes to color them. And then we are very particular about where we source all of the aminos from, that they're from proper manufacturer. All of our aminos are 100% vegan as well, just in case if we actually get a lot of vegetarians and vegans that want to use the product because they just feel like they're lacking protein. And then, the mixability and taste is really critical too. And we've improved on that, I think. So more recently, the full flavors, I think, taste exceptional and very, very easy to use. Competitive space, but we're definitely slowly making our mark in there.
And then, did you guys initially launch with the EAA, BCAA, or was it just like a BCAA product?
I think it was the same EAA plus BCAA.
Was it? Because that's another.
Done is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only thing we've done is we've made the product. This is actually it right here. So one thing that. I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs that are logging onto this, so I will share some more business motives around this. Is that this container is a little bit smaller than the original one. So originally we were at a 46 ounce, which gave me a stronger presence in store accounts because it was a larger can. I've shifted to a smaller container because our direct to consumer has gone up, and I'm noticing even gyms and training facilities want smaller, lighter things that people can carry in their bag. And then the second thing we changed is. There used to be 4.2 grams of aminos. We've upped it to 5. Now we're able to make a larger volume of product. I can add an additional almost gram of aminos free of charge and not change the price. So we're one of the only companies. We started selling this for $39.95 back 5 years ago, and we're actually still selling for $39.95. And believe it or not, as our volume is growing, we just continue to pass the discounts on to keep consumers being able to buy at the same price.
I'd recommend this to any coaches or even clinicians out there that are looking to build a business around a product that they already really believe in.
As a brand new user, just being sold on the streamline of being able to put everything in a centralized location. Anyone that is just fumbling with Google Sheets to Facebook messages, group messaging, text messaging.
For anybody that wants to be able to coach their clients. Many times you use different tools and resources, and when you're trying to manage that, even on a Google Sheet or on regular technology, you're limited on duplicating the data over and over.
I think if I'm going to, recommend the app for anyone, it's going to be myself. If I want to take my business to the next level, so definitely looking to do that in the near future here. Everybody can really benefit from it. I use it in the rehab sphere, but I also utilize it in the training thing. You can do the same thing with nutrition, right? There's so many uses for it.
For everybody, coaches, clinicians, anyone that kind of works in the industry, chiros, PTs, trainers.
This is one simple solution that we can create to all of our users and all our clients.
So if you want to create a way to systematize your business so you can scale, I have not seen a better product for that.
And so this kind of maybe applies to what you just talked about of making things smaller versus bigger. When you see products that are on the shelf, but only half to maybe 3/4 of a bottle is actually full of stuff, is that simply a presence on a shelf, or is there a reason for not filling the thing all the way to the top?
Shelf presence only. It's
okay.
Two things. One is sometimes it's just so difficult to read. If you look at even a bottle of detox is tiny. There's no shelf presence there at all, right? But if you look at the ingredients, it's really small. So in some cases, I've debated even with this, can we just go just a little bit bigger? I don't want to waste any space, but this thing is filled with caps to here. If I could just go a hair bigger, then I can read it and it'll be a little bit easier for somebody to digest.
Right.
The second reason though people do it is not because they care about the legibility. They care just about the shelf presence only, like Doritos or Frito-Lay. They just want to put out these big bags of chips just filled with air. There's nothing in it. They just want people to be able to see it.
Right.
So
okay.
It's a common thing. What's happening though is this is a new thing that's been happening in the supplement industry. Is some companies have gotten sued over this. So if you look at a lot of packaging now, if you are halfway or less, then you really have to put on the bottle. You have to print on there sold by weight, not by volume. And that just kind of keeps you protected if you were going to play the game, or if you just now, same thing with this, if you were not, if you just had extra space in there.
Oh, interesting. So for you, aminos are probably even a way to get people into your ecosystem, which then you have other products that they may also be interested in as well.
Yeah, definitely. Aminos are a really easy way to get people into it. I think with any gyms that we have, and I know you do really well with aminos, so maybe our relationship, with you was built on originally trying some aminos, and now we'll send you to try some Conscious One, see if that's a good fit, try some detox and see if that's a good fit too. So some stores sell a lot of aminos. We have store accounts that hardly sell any. They sell mostly just nootropics and detox.
And probably really, who do you cater to, right? The everyday mom and pop is probably not super interested in nootropics, but they're probably interested in maybe getting some more protein in their life, versus the heavy hitter entrepreneur is probably leaning more towards the nootropics side, I would guess.
Yeah, no, it's dead on. Everybody kind of has differences in products. So your average parents, in some cases, though, have no interest in amino acids, but they have kids that play sports that are interested in amino acids, soccer, football, and so forth. So that still is a big market for us. But I'm really kind of focused on making products that I really love and I think the market needs. And then, kind of going from there, I think it's valuable to bring up the fact that I've really stepped away from sports so much. I grew up around sports and athletes and really catering to them. So, we used to have a keto product and MCTs plus ketones, BHBs, and I discontinued that. I got away from CBDs. I used to do a lot of CBDs, which were great business for us. We had really great products, but I've really shifted towards the wellness side of things. So, outside of the aminos, which I believe are a wellness product still, they're not just an athletic performance. I think anybody could benefit from aminos. They're a great benefit when my wife was pregnant, just to make sure she got enough protein and amino acids. So I think it's a health-based product. And then the detox we make is so critical right now because it's a heavy metal detox. You see all of let's just be honest, like whatever they're spraying in the skies, it's not normal. Like they're just spraying shit in the skies. Barium, strontium, all sorts of chemicals. You got lead in the water, mercury in your mouth, fluoride in the toothpaste. This is where my focus has shifted. I feel, and this is no cut on any athletes, I'm an athlete myself, but I want athletes to succeed, but I do think that athletes already have the tools. And I think that the top level athletes, I think that they're already big and strong. They're already crushing. We need to start looking alternatively into what we're giving our kids. And I've worked with like the highest level athletes, obviously through you now. I've worked with some people through CAV, right? That are like top, like Olympic gold medalists type, right? And not that I don't like working with them, but I feel that they're fast enough. And I feel like my skill set needs to be used somewhere else. And as my parents are getting older, and as I see friends and family getting older, and I see what's going on in the world, I think heavy metal detoxification is one of the best things you could do for your children, for your life, for anybody. If you would have told me 5-10 years ago, make a detox product, I would say you're crazy. I'm never doing it. I like nootropics and aminos. Now I've shifted. And same thing with Conscious One. This is not just a nootropic. I market it as a superfood for your brain. So I've probably had the number one email, text question about Ultrahuman in the last 2-3 months has been, what happened to Tau? Why did you discontinue it? And now you're launching this. And I'm like, because this is beyond a nootropic. It's not just about taking a pill that helps you focus for 8 hours. That was great back then. It's not how I think anymore. I want to think more on how do we actually look short-term, mid-term, and long-term on your brain optimization. So A, it's a great nootropic. Right now, take it, 20 minutes, you feel good, you feel on point. B, helps decrease anxiety, keeps you in this kind of good, calm zone, because we know anxiousness, and if you're not present, is one of the worst things you can do performance. The third component is detoxifying neurotoxicities. So that's an aspect. You can obviously stack these two. Detoxify neurotoxicities and all of these heavy metals that really cloud your brain. And that's the worst thing that you can have in your brain right now. So I'm looking at things more, again, this is almost completely organic, whole, completely natural, nothing artificial in it. And that's really where the future of Ultrahuman is.
So, these are kind of really interesting evolutions, right? Because they may not always make the most business sense, right? A product that's doing well, that's selling well, to sunset it, right? Even like the CBD stuff, right? I think we carried it and we sold a fair amount of it when you had it, because it was like people were starting to understand this stuff and they could utilize this stuff. And is it hard for you to kind of sunset a product like that? Or is that just like, for you, is it kind of like, hey, I just don't want to go that direction anymore. This is where we're going. Cause you don't have like a 50 SKU product line. Like, it's like, right. You have like 4.
Yeah. The tricky part is there's sometimes I do stuff just because I like it. Right. Like that's just me like, hey, let's build this product. I feel like the market wants it. And I don't know if people want it. Who knows? But I'm just like, let's build it. Right. Conscious One was one of those. I believe that people want it. Will people buy it? I have no idea. What you're referring to, though, is making a smart business decision, a financial decision. So if you guys are into a lot of podcasts, I'm a huge fan of Alex Hormozi. Okay. Alex Hormozi talks about this all the time. Oh, you've got 5 things you're doing. This one makes the most money. Cut these 4, triple down on this, and now you're good. He's actually right. It's very, very true. So you've got to be careful, though, because what happens is like the CBD started because we had store accounts say, hey, we don't trust a lot of CBDs out there. Can you make us a CBD? We will buy it because we trust that you make really good products. So I was like, okay, I'll make CBDs. Then I'm like, well, while I'm at it, I'll bacon flavor some and make pet CBDs. And then people say, well, we want keto. People say, we want single tap towels. People want all this stuff. Before you know it, our SKU line got this big, and it kept getting bigger and bigger. And that's when I felt like the focus changed, because now we are meeting the supply and demand of what people want, but it's really not the future of where the brand wants to go. And it's becoming now, go back to Alex Hormozi, a short-term gratification versus like a long-term gratification. Like delayed gratification is what he calls it, right? So we've had to be really careful. I think people expand too much, which is what I did. I'm down to 3 products now. I might do a 4th. I'm actually working on a 4th one now, I should say, which is really exciting. It's an electrolyte drink, actually straight electrolytes. It's amazing, but which you can stack with any of the products. But outside of that, it's very, very targeted. And it's definitely been a lot more successful this way because supply chain issues, especially during COVID, when you have that many products, you will end up out of something, whether you can't get the bottles, the lids, the caps, or something like that. So there is an evolution there, understanding that what's important to you and also why is monetization driven as well.
My favorite part of the event is...
Favorite part of the event was the networking and the community. It was fabulous.
The energy and the quality of the speakers and information.
So I'd say like the highlight of the event, obviously the speakers have been amazing, but the networking has been great.
The community here, the people, and just those lunches and dinners and hallway conversations. And the presentations have had a big impact in terms of things that inspire me and inform me. So a lot of good things.
The coolest thing about the Coach Catalyst event that I've experienced is one, like Kane, Trevor, and Coach Cap, the energy in the room, the videos, like that stuff matters as far as throughout the day when you start getting tired. People don't realize it.
I would say the best part of the event so far has been the connectivity between the people that are here. It's been comfortable and it has felt very pressure-free.
I like the eclectic lineup, which is different than most other conferences. There usually is like a theme, and this is pretty spread out, which I appreciate. So there's a lot of people bringing a lot of different methods and modalities to the table.
Coach Cal was probably my favorite talk. His energy, the way he speaks, the way he holds himself. I love anything to do with athletes and sport, and if I can take those principles and apply them to business like Coach Cab does, it's unbelievable.
So just curious from my end, when you're looking at, sourcing a product, let's say something like Conscious One, right? How many different ingredients are there in Conscious One?
I believe there were 21.
Right. And so finding 20 plus, because now we get into also like packaging and yada, yada, yada. So they give us source all of these different things. Is there like a common marketplace to go to start finding suppliers, or are you just like boots on the ground, calling people, visiting facilities? Like, what does it look like?
With my current manufacturers, I have a great relationship with. Sorry, Travis, should I close this? Might be a little clearer. Are we good?
That's good. I'm good.
We're good. So with my current manufacturer, who's, NSF, UL, like certified, like the highest level certifications, and they're huge, a couple hundred employees, like they're big, juggernaut. I have an unbelievable relationship with these guys. They're like family. We're an extension of each other. And they are fully transparent with me on who their sources are that they currently buy from. So if I make in Conscious One, for example, I use a vegan tyrosine inhibitor. They are buying thousands and thousands of kilos of vegan tyrosine. I don't need to go and start messing with this and going and finding another vegan tyrosine that could actually even end up being the same vegan tyrosine. So I will work hand in hand with, who are you guys buying my stuff? Who do you want to buy them from? And who do I want to buy them from? So the vegan tyrosine, for example, will go through them. I will say, you guys source it through you already have a great relationship. Now the Jargolan tea that's in it, no exceptions, comes from my source. And it took me years to get the source. It is a specific mountainous region in Thailand. It is unbeatable. It's the greatest Jargolan plant you could possibly find anywhere in the world. That's why people have taken this jargon on straight and they're like, I don't know why, I feel completely different. I feel like I've done like a microdose, right? But there is nothing like it. You could try all the other jargons in the world. I pay about 50%, 60% more to get not the extract, but to get the whole jargon, where it is actually pulled, harvested, and milled in Thailand, and then shipped to the United States. So I know that this powder is that fresh. It has literally come off the mountain. Like the guys were like the farmers you might see like in a movie or whatever, like the little hats. Like it's a real thing. It really happened. So it's give or take. You know, if it's a meticulous, very specific material, I have to source it myself. That's what we do. If it's something that I could continue to let the laboratory do it, then I will let them do it. I would say it's about 60-40, 50-50 maybe.
And like with Conscious One, or like you in your kitchen, just when you were formulating, just like putting this stuff together and then like trying it and seeing like, hey, what does this do? What is it? How does it make me feel?
Yeah. So during my first sabbatical that I mentioned to you, I discovered this jargon tea. It's actually a plant, but it's like a tea. Okay. And this really weird random guy just gave it to me. I don't know what happened. Like I went out in the middle of nowhere. I found myself in a coffee shop with two nomads. One guy didn't have a leg. Like it sounds like just a made up story, or whatever. And I went into a tea shop, and the tea shop guy gave me this bag of tea. I said, "I'm just going to give this to you, dude. I think you need it." And then I went back and I was like, dude, I don't know what you gave me, man, but I feel really good on that tea. And I'm a big tea person. I believe in like green tea and ceremonial matcha and so forth. So I started sourcing it, and I would actually take the tea leaves and chew them before I hiked. But I also like a little bit of caffeine and a little bit of theanine. I'm a big fan of theanine, which is like an extract from green tea, and I like green tea. So I started mixing kind of 3 or 4 or 5 ingredients, and then I added a little bit. And then I found like a nice concoction of maybe about 8 to 10 ingredients. So, you know, I would take some tyrosine, some shilajit, some chlorella, green tea, jargon, caffeine, theanine, tyrosine, if you ever mentioned that. Then right there, I have like a stack. That then comes to, hey, let me give this to a couple friends. They're like, whoa, this is amazing. I really like it. That comes to, let me mix this myself at home and actually see what I can do with this. Like if I go the distance with it and get to all 20 ingredients. So I actually did the entire thing literally at home to just test it myself and get it perfected. And then I even called the flavoring company and said, let me flavor it. Like I want to get all the components as well. So I sat there, like stevia, the monk fruit, everything. And started testing the taste of it. Then I went to the manufacturer and said like, hey, I want you guys now to build samples. So it is a very, very lengthy process. Like we don't make anything out of the kitchen. I just make my own personal stuff sometimes if I want to try it. But from there, it has to go to manufacturer. They then have to do quarantine and test all the raw materials and build an actual real sample from legit, like to the T. That gets tested and that goes back and forward. That process with this product took close to about 6 months, just in going back and forward on the sample batch they had. So I spent about 6 to 8 months myself in the kitchen. Then it moves to the laboratory, what they call R&D, research and development. And that goes like another 6 to 8 months. Then once that's done, then we start ordering all the raw materials. And all of that has to come in. And then all of it's got to get individually tested and quarantined. And then from there, it goes to the mix. And then while it's in the blender, it's tested again. And then once it gets packaged, it's tested again. Give me a headache.
If you're willing to share, just kind of ballpark, like what do you put into a product before you even sell the first canister?
I think it depends on the product. I think realistically, if somebody's going to get in this game and build these types of products, they need to be prepared to put in the minimum of 50 grand. Minimum. I think in some cases you're putting north of 100 grand in it. Exceptions to this would be things like detox, like this. This was a little bit easier. because we don't have to go back and forth on flavoring, texture, mixability, because it's a capsule. And because it's a capsule, we don't have to go through like a dissolution tests like you do with a tablet. So tau had to be tested because of the coating, having the speed that it breaks down. So there's all these additional tests that can come with powders and tablets and soft gels. Stuff like this is a lot less work that goes in it, and the ingredients just happen to be easier. And my first batch I made of this was pretty minimal. So I think that I got in the detox product for maybe around 20 grand, 25 grand for my first order. So that's pretty low compared to some of the other products, but I really don't have an idea of what I spent on the first couple batches of tau. No idea. And that doesn't, none of this includes any marketing or any employees of factory.
No, it's literally just getting the product and hoping that the market is going to. I mean, it's a bet, right? It's the best way to describe it. It's probably an educated bet.
Definitely. And, this is why the rich get richer too, because like if you're building products and you're like, hey, I want 1,000 bottles or something, a lot of manufacturers won't even do it. They'll be like, no, take a hike. So my manufacturer, luckily, their units are actually 5,000 minimum, period. So some things like the detox, they'll make 2,000 and just say, hey, like this is a favor to you. But, go do the math. I mean, you're making 2,000 units, even if it costs you $10 a bottle, you're for 20 grand. If you make 5,000 units and you're like, let's say $12 a bottle on something, you're going to be in for 60 grand. But here's the worst part. If you want to talk about money, cost of goods, the worst part is they're going to send you a document. They're going to send you 2 pieces of paper. And they're going to say, once you get all the paperwork done and you submit a PO and you spend a year of your life going back and forth, going crazy, driving everyone else crazy, then you're going to send the order in. They're going to send you a piece of paper back to sign once we've gone through all the T's and crosses and all the contracts and everything else. Then you got to wire the money. They're going to send you, here's our bank information. So if you got to send 60 grand in, you're going to send $30,000 in, and it's going to go out into the abyss, and you're not going to have anything to sell. So you're out. Imagine spending $30,000 on a car that you can't even drive for $3 or $4. And in some cases, you won't even see the product for a long time. I placed a purchase order for Conscious One back in December 12th, and by the time we started ordering all the raw materials, one of the raw materials, the Prima Shilajit, they said we're not expecting till June. So now I might have to wait till, luckily I had another resource to get it. But if I didn't, I would have to wait. I wouldn't even see the product till September. So I'm out of all of that deposit. Let's just say $30,000 there. Then in September, they're going to be like, hey, give us the other 30 grand. Then you give them the 30 grand. Then you got to wait a week for it to arrive. Then you got to load it in inventory. Then you ship it to the stores and the businesses, and then you get paid on it. So you could be out of this cash for a long time. So I know people that have millions and millions of dollars that they do in business, and they have severe cash flow problems. And people can't figure out why, and this is why. The hard part of the game isn't just the money. It's being out of the money for that long. Keep in mind, if you build 2,000 units, now you've paid for all of it up front. You've been selling 1,000. Maybe you sell to some big chains that have 30-day, 60-day terms. The worst part is once you've sold half, you got to put another purchase order in and put another deposit down. So this is where the cash flow issue is in building things like supplements.
So, like, if you why play the game? What's the? If you build, I mean, you just gave me a 3-minute rant on why someone probably shouldn't play the game. So why do you want to keep playing the game?
If you build, it's what I know how to do. It's my trade. I have to accept that I've invested so much time in it, and I'm too far deep in it, and it's becoming profitable for me. So if I did it all again, I would do it very differently. But for me, it's just what I know. I had a retail store in supplements for 10 years. I did consulting after that, through parties in the industry for 15. So it's, at my point in my life, my question is, do I want to start something completely radically new and different, or kind of stick with this? Trevor, hold on 1 second. My phone is about to die. I'm going to see if I grab the charger. Okay.
Sounds good.
Hey there, coaches. Are you ready to take your coaching game to the next level? Get ready for an unforgettable experience at the Super Coach Summit. Join us at Reston, Virginia on August 24th and 25th, where top-tier coaches from the best in the industry will converge to share insights, strategies, and inspiration. And here's the best part. Lock in your spot with our super early bird tickets. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to save big and secure your seat among coaching's elite. Connect, learn, and grow alongside the best in the industry. Get your super early bird tickets now. Visit virtual.supercoachsummit.com for more information and to secure your spot today.
So, Jason, I don't want to cut you off, but I kind of have to because you mentioned something in that previous statement about if you were to do it again, you would do it differently. And I would be a terrible host if I didn't get the answer to how you would do it differently, looking back on kind of the business so far.
Definitely. So I think I have to kind of maybe rephrase how I said that. I think that if I had to build this now with the skill set I have and with what I know, I would completely do it differently. But I also respect that, some of these things, you go through these journeys and you learn so much about yourself and your business and your mission statements of who you are. And that kind of creates who you are today. So I don't live life with the regrets. Like, I think that everything that the journey that has happened has been a positive one on the learning and the skill sets of your evolution. But I think, if I had to do it over again, I would do it very differently. If I may share a few things that I would do differently.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah.
If you built, I think first off, running a really, really, really tight ship. I think you need to have fewer people, but have really targeted people that are really, really, really good at what they do. Number two, stick with fewer products, stick with fewer channels, and just master those channels. I'm going to go back to Alex Hormozy again, and he's referred to this. So the reason the guy's become so popular is because he's very palatable to people. Like, it's a very easy to digest kind of message, and he's always saying one product, one channel for $1 million. And honestly, it's very true. Like, you don't need 50 million channels. Focus on just being really good at one specific thing. You don't need to expand into all of these products. So, which is a mistake that I had shared on the show. It was financially beneficial. It was part of that journey. But if I had to do it again, I wouldn't do it. And I think the biggest thing I could tell any entrepreneur is to get your shit together. If you are a true CEO, if you are a true business owner, make sure you are right with you. I think that the first is, half of my business that I launched this, I had just not really had much time. I mean, I came off of throwing parties right into trying to do this. You're all over the place. You haven't had time to heal. You haven't had any vacation time. You're just doing one thing after the next stuff. And sometimes life goes so fast that you really haven't had time. And, when you look at it, you look at the parallel between that and say, like, for example, people who go through breakups, right? If you don't heal from this one breakup, maybe, or you go through a divorce or whatnot, then you carry that baggage into the next relationship. And I think with business, I went business to business to business. I never really had time since I was 18, 19 years old to just slow the fuck down and just kind of be like, okay, what am I doing in my life? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? So the mistake I think I made was not taking the break at the beginning of the business. And then I had to try and find those breaks while I was running the business, which put my business at massive risk. And then eventually when I did, I felt like I became a lot more self-actualized in not only who I was and what I wanted to contribute through entrepreneurship, but what the brand represented as well and what I felt like the market needed. And I feel like I've become a lot more responsible as far as, operating the business than I was when we first started as well. If you're not in the right place, man, you tend to make bad decisions and do stupid shit.
Because I didn't ask this at the beginning, but how old is Ultra Human?
It started, it's been about 6 or 7 years now.
Okay. Yeah, which is, I mean, it's a fair amount of time. Like that's, to be in business for that long, like there's not a lot of businesses that can say that. And so, and with kind of the ups and downs that happened as well throughout.
Yep, with the ups and downs. And sometimes that's how it goes. I mean, my granddad, my dad's dad had a business, and he basically slept on the floors for the first 5 years. And then he used to build car pieces. And then eventually, he became very, very, very extremely wealthy overnight, and he just kind of found his groove. I had an elderly entrepreneur, sit me down. I've been lucky to have some really good mentors. And, his philosophy is it's always about finding your groove. Some people find it in a year or two. Some people it takes 10 years. Some people it takes whatever. I really think we hit our stride maybe about 2 years ago. So I think it really took me 5 years beginning to end to go through my entire journey, all my personal sabbaticals, all my healing, all my ins and outs with staff, employees, and products, manufacturing, all of this stuff. I think that there's been a lot of highs and lows. And then finally, once I kind of was able to sink my teeth in it, I think the last 2 years have been operating pretty good. And the last 1 year we've been operating insanely good. Sales are as high as they've ever been, with fewer products, shipping is faster, people's customer satisfaction's up, our ability to support store accounts is more like we're just operating on a whole different level. And honestly, my expenses are probably right now a half or a third of what they were. So if you just want to talk purely, numbers don't lie. Whatever we're doing right now is definitely working.
And are numbers better because you just don't have as much staff? Is it a human capital where you don't have as much and maybe you just have better people? Or is it just the moving to the new manufacturing or less SKUs or all of it in combination?
It's all of the above. I think earlier on this show, you were asking me, how do you come up with creative stuff? And is it just you that wants to push the envelope with 7 tier winning caves, 2-story luges, right? And one thing I learned I learned so much from throwing parties because I dropped out of university. And so parties became my university. You got robbed, you learned something from that. You spend money on something you shouldn't have, and you learn from that. You learn everything the hard way through parties, right? You learn street smarts. Well, there were 2 questions I encourage every single entrepreneur to ask themselves, which I asked myself when I started growing parties, and it changed my entire life, which is like, what am I really capable of? Question number 1. And question number 2, what do I really need to make that happen? Like, what do I really, really need? So I pulled the same thing, with All Treatment a few years ago. I said, you know what? I really need to find a true solid manufacturing partner that can fit our communication and our demands and our needs. Number 2, I need to tighten up the capital. We need to make sure we have tight capital, and we have tight, employees and how we communicate with people, and shipping processes and procedures that are really, really tight. And the other thing that was really important is focusing on sales. So there was never enough time. I think this happens with so many businesses and so many entrepreneurs. I see a lot with restaurant owners. They're busy cooking. They're busy chefs in the kitchen saying they never get time to actually go out and give out business cards and drum up business and actually talk to their clientele. So, one of the things that I should say all of these facets have been contributing to this is like making changes that serve our direction, but also focusing on actually how do we get these sales up? And I'm locking myself in the room until we get sales up. Then how do we find the right manufacturing partner? And we're just going to just do that. Nothing else. See, everybody's too fucking distracted. Like the distractions are crazy. Everybody's IM, DM, Twitter, Facebook, the AI. It's just people are going nuts. And no one's immune to this. I am not immune to this. I can very quickly get distracted. We were having a baby, 9 months ago, and that just distracted, and everything. But how I pinpoint it is I fully immerse. So when I needed to find a manufacturer, I booked a ticket, I flew to Vegas, what used to be a big party home for me. I didn't throw any parties. I didn't go out. I went into Supply Side West, and I met in about 1.5 days. I met with over 30 manufacturers. And then I sat down one by one, and then I connected with the one I have now. Then when I sat down, I wanted to figure the capital side out, like how are we going to fund all of this? That's when I went and kind of went through all my finances and figure out where can I pull from, what can I do, how can we build this much product, like 3 or 4 times the amount. And now, after all the product was built, everybody says to me, look, you don't post online. Who cares about post? We don't have any fucking product. Like, who cares? Like, you don't have, if you don't have anything to sell, what are you posting? Right. So it's like getting that baseline infrastructure sorted, get the product loaded in, then clean up the website, go through your channels, and then focus on just selling. So right now, today, I am focused purely on, how are we scaling, how are we providing a better customer experience. And then in April, we have a new product coming out. So I'm going to finish the rest of the logistics with that, and that's going to be my main attention. So, Trevor, I'm giving you a very long-winded answer, but I think that if I could do anything over again, and if I could contribute to people in this space, get really, really, really pinpoint focused, I've probably put a lot of people off of entrepreneurship, and I certainly don't want to do that. But what I want to do is I want to inspire people to keep going and go the distance. It is worth doing. It's very worth doing. You just need to know what you're getting into. You need to set realistic expectations for yourself, financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of it. And even the people around you. If you're married, tell your spouse, I'm about to go to hell and back. Are you with me? Are we doing this? You need these support systems. My wife's been an incredible support system for me. And then be really, really pinpoint focused on it, and don't get distracted by anything. Whatever you want, you just go for it. Cut everything else out.
So what's the next 3 years, we'll call it, of Ultra Human look like? How do you see yourself winning in the next 3 years? What do you need to do?
My knee-jerk reaction is to tell you I just need to keep doing what we're doing. Whatever we're doing right now is definitely working. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I think my biggest thing is focusing on how do we get more products to more people's hands. I mean, that sounds so generic and really simple, but it's very true. And I think our brand messaging has not been the best. That's probably been our biggest weakness. Everything's too cryptic and it's too difficult sometimes to understand. Like, people still don't understand what conscious one is, right? If I say it's a superfood for your brain, okay, I kind of get it. So I think the next 2 phases are continuing to scale and make sure that the processes of everything are managing and handling this scaling, because we are on this trajectory like this. At what point is there, as you had said, a fallout point or a breaking point where the wheels come off the rails, right? So that's one. And number 2 is, as we scale, how can we simplify and make our products more, even more user-friendly and more understandable to the general public or to a professional athlete.
Go ahead. I love it. Are you enjoying the ride?
I love it, man. I love it. I could never work for anybody else. I'm ruined at this point. Like,
I know, right?
It's the game. It's all, what's that?
I said unemployable.
Unemployable, yes. It's the game. You have to love the game. Like, I don't want to come way off subject here, but, I talked to a friend of mine the other day about dating. I said, when you go out there and date, and, you meet so many people, and dating can be very frustrating, and it can be stressful, and you can just be exhausted, and people get face rejection and all of this. And I say, until you understand dating is a game, it's like you have to have fun. If you just go on a date, you just have a great time. Even if it doesn't work out, you had a great time. And like how I run business now is from the standpoint of just, I love the journey. I love to see a fruition. And, when I do projects now with people, because outside of Ultra Human, I still sometimes do products with other people. The electrolyte drink is a co-branded partnership I'm doing with a major group. And when I do that, the first discussion I ever have is I say, look, we're going to have a great time doing this. We're going to enjoy the journey. And if for some reason we build a product and it just doesn't take off, we build a pilot batch, it doesn't take off, and we're both out of some money. We're just going to hug it out, and we're just going to go have some drinks, have some beers, and have a good time. And like that's really how you have to look at entrepreneurship. You can always make more money. You cannot get time back. You cannot get dead family members back. You cannot sometimes, get forgiveness for things you've said or done in some cases. So again, not getting deep on that, you really have to look at what's valuable, and making money is one thing, but I think just enjoying life and focusing on living life and not just being alive is the most critical secret to happiness in business and in personal.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I think that's a great way to kind of sum this up, but we do have a little bit of a tradition at the end. We have some kind of slightly off topic questions, kind of quick rapid fire things that I'll throw at you. So first one is taco, burrito, or quesadilla?
Naked burrito.
Naked burrito. So like a bowl?
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Next one we got is if you could live in any cartoon world for a week, what cartoon world do you want to live in? Your 9-month-old probably isn't watching a ton of cartoons yet, so you're not into like the new age cartoons. So you might have to go. You have to go into the bank a little bit.
Man, what is that? She's been watching something recently. It's called Listen to Kids. So she has started watching something. So I'm going to go and say Listen to Kids. I watched this with her. It's kind of chaotic, man, but it's also equally calming. I don't like the cartoons that are just on crack, and I don't like the super subdued stuff from the 60s. So, Listen to Kids.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Last one. If you could have dinner with any person, past or present, who would you want to break bread with?
My grandparents. For sure. My grandparents, because I realized that all my grandparents have passed away, and you just don't get that opportunity back. And there's so many things about you that have become because of them that you don't get that chance to explore. And your parents can tell you stuff, but it's just different. Like you can only acquire certain things from your parents. Your parents still come from a space of rigidness, and they come from a space of like protection for you. Versus like grandparents have like some sort of like a freedom to their grandchildren of just sharing like the essence of life. So, all of the new age business people and all that, I mean, we can sit there and gather whatever information we need. But I think your grandparents are truly come from a place of unconditional love, and respect. So that would be, if you're asking me about people and friends and families in life. But if there's one person I could have break bread with, it would be Jesus Christ.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. I like that, man. Well, if people wanted to learn more about Ultra Human, what you've got going, where are the best places to go to learn more about what you're up to?
Yes. Check out our website, theultrahuman.net. That's ultrahuman.net. That's a direct website. We are available on Amazon. Conscious One is not available on there yet. We have a lot of local retailers too, if you want to pick up any products there and check them out. I know, Trevor, you carry some over at Functional. But yeah, check out theultrahuman.net. You guys a code as well. You guys can use Ultra10. Super easy to remember. Ultra10, that's 10. That'll give you 10% off anything you want. I know you've seen our heavy metal detox and our Conscious One products. We guarantee everything. If you are not completely delighted by the taste and the mixability and the performance of Conscious One, you send us an email. You can email me directly at jason@theultrahuman.net, jason@theultrahuman.net, and I will handle it and take care of it. So I love hearing from people and connecting with people. Definitely check out products, and if anything I could do to be an assistant to make your life better, you reach out to me.
I love it, man. I appreciate it, Jason. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Excellent. Hey, Trevor, I'm going to leave you with a nugget I've been debating on, but I'm going to do it on your show here today. So I'm going to leave you with a very, very final announcement. I haven't said this on any podcasts or any shows or anywhere, but we're going to do it today, right now, right before we jump off. So there are 2 new products coming out And then one of them is called Summit. It's an electrolyte drink, which I had mentioned, which is an all-natural electrolyte drink. There is another product/brand that Ultra Human is actually evolving into. And I'm announcing the name here. We filed the trademarks in every single classification for this. And the name of it is Big Pharma. Big Pharma, as you would pronounce it. Big Pharma. So the reason being that since we launched the heavy metal detox product and we are very anti-system, government medication, all the stuff that is going on in the world, we're really making a shift. As if you guys have made it to the end of this podcast, how we've transcended from just sports supplements and stuff like that. I'm sick of all the bullshit. It's more of a meaning here. We had a completely natural birth at home with my daughter, no epidural, no C-sections, nothing, home birth with midwives. Greatest thing ever. And it was right after she was born. I filed all the trademarks for it. So there will soon to be a secondary subsidiary brand that is mine, that is with Ultra Human, called Big Pharma. It's completely organic. Every single thing we make, greens, whole foods, plants, all of the sources will be explained to people where we get them from. Nothing artificial in it. And we want to share that with the world and make the world a healthier place. And even including products that kids like my daughter can drink and actually have like healthy sports drinks and so forth. So the future of the brand is our kids. And I just want to share that with you and make that announcement here for the third time ever.
I love that, man. I thank you for doing that here. I appreciate you. Man, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out.
It's been a pleasure too, man. You're a stand-up guy, amazing. You run an incredible operation, and I don't see you enough. So we need to get together soon, man. I need to come out to Montana for a hike.
I know, absolutely. We'll make it happen.
Excellent. Thank you again. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be on the show.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.